Let's move on to this disturbing story now. eNCA has learned that a body was left unattended for over 15 hours at an accident scene between Mdantsane and East London in the Eastern Cape. Workers in the Forensic Pathology Services have downed tools over unpaid overtime, and then services in several municipalities have now been affected, as you've just heard of that. Now, for more on this, let's bring in Ncapayi, who is Nehawu's Eastern Cape Provincial Secretary. And there's no doubt, Mlu, by the way, thank you very much for talking to us this afternoon, that we are entitled to protest when we are being treated unfairly or we are not given what's due to us. But this incident that I've just described in my intro is an unacceptable one and is one that should have never happened.
Yes, good afternoon and good afternoon to everybody that is watching. It is true indeed that this is a situation that ourselves were not even proud of it. But the situation that we find ourselves in has put us in a situation where we can't continue to work for an employer that is not appreciating all the sacrifices and the efforts that we are putting. And as such, I want to state it clear that the workers, they are not on strike. The workers, they are just implementing a work-to-role principle. That means they are working from 8 till 4:30. That's how they are supposed to do their job in terms of the basic conditions of Employment Act. So workers are starting at 8 o'clock and at 4:30, they drop their vehicle because the department is unable to pay them their monies that they are supposed to be paying in terms of the overtime as well as the standby allowances. That's where we are currently. So it is the fault of the Department of Health in the Eastern Cape that has caused the situation where our people that have since passed on are not picked up. And the department must answer to the public and the society of South Africa as a whole.
I mean, the department must certainly answer, but this sounds very concerning, Mlu, because you're basically saying that after 4:30, should there be any road carnage, God forbid, or any other instance where people pass away, no one is going to be available to assist them because of this impasse between workers and the provincial government.
Yes, as workers, we do have a right to work in terms of the law. And if the employer is not going to compensate us for what we have done in terms of the overtime of the past 3 months, as well as the standby allowances, the law allows us not to continue doing the work which we are not going to be compensated for. So it is quite a very difficult situation that we find in, where we see ourselves now in conflict with the society, whereas the Department of Health is hiding behind their responsibility of ensuring that the workers that are doing these services are given all the support that is needed so that they can do their work and support the society or the communities of the Eastern Cape.
What has the department told you about not being able to pay overtime and other compensation? Because one watching this interview would think that a situation of this nature cannot be allowed to go on. We cannot have, essentially, as gruesome as it may sound, dead bodies lining streets because people aren't being paid overtime. So what is the department telling you?
The department is telling us that there is a problem inside or internally in terms of the processing of the payment and getting now the authorization from DPSA. That's what they are telling us. But we can't talk about that because it is not what we understand. But from where we're seated, the law is saying that we can get compensated if we exceed the 30% threshold. Therefore, it means the department has got the authority to make the necessary arrangement to ensure that when we get paid, we are within that 30% threshold. If now they are not doing that, it means it is failing to do its own land of services in terms of supporting workers and to ensure that we are able to render the services to the communities. So the Department of Health within its own systems has failed once again to ensure that their systems they are in place in order for workers to get what they're supposed to get.
So it's not an issue of a lack of funding, it's a system issue that is supposed to be handled by the department. I mean, based on those engagements, that explanation that you say they've given you, have they not indicated a timeline?
That's what we are pushing them for. In fact, now we've secured a meeting for tomorrow so that they can tell us when this matter is going to be resolved, so that from where we're seated, we can be able then to talk to workers and find a solution. Because we can't go to workers and say they must continue to sacrifice whilst they are starving, whereas the department just lives without any consequence management in terms of the people that have failed to make sure that the payment is processed within the expected time frame. So we're waiting for them tomorrow when we meet. Then we're going to get a clarity in terms of how this is going to take, for how long it's going to take.
Okay, so maybe just clarify for us then, Mlu, are you comfortable to engage your members to continue working as they would if you get clarity from the provincial government as to when they resolve the issue tomorrow? So if the department says tomorrow everything will be resolved by Friday, will you encourage workers to go back and work even though the money will only be coming through on Friday, as an example?
Yes, the answer is very simple. I can say yes, we can do that. But what becomes the trick is that the employer, as we have experienced them, they are not trustworthy. So whatever that they commit, you take that now with a doubt, because you know whatever that they put is guaranteed that on Friday they will be coming up with another excuse. So that is the situation that we find ourselves in. But as workers who are very reasonable, we can talk to them, but we are not going to be able to talk and say they must sacrifice beyond a reasonable time period. Because at the end of the day, our people are suffering, but also our families are also suffering. That's why the department must come in and find a balance and ensure that they play their role in terms of compensating workers for what they deserve.